evening, I'm Webb. Tonight we ask the questions, we tackle the issues, we clarify matters, and we get on point. Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment trial remains on hold. The Senate leadership insists it should commence after President Marcos's State of the Nation address in July. But some sectors, including lawmakers, are questioning the delays in the impeachment proceedings. 4 petitions are now pending before the Supreme Court to clarify the impeachment process, compel the Senate to immediately begin the trial, and to dismiss the impeachment case against the Vice President. Let's get on point with Manila 3rd District Representative Chua and Bataan 1st District Representative Geraldine Roman. Congresswoman, Congressman, magandang gabi po sa inyong dalawa. I've seen Congressman Joel quite a number of times here on Point. Nakarami na po siya. This is your first time?
This is my first time, actually.
Yeah, I saw you in the press conference. I believe that was yesterday, doon po sa House. No? So let's talk about, obviously, the impeachment. The prosecutors want this to happen yesterday, kumbaga, di ba? Mangyari na sana ito as soon as possible. But the Senate has a timeline. Congressman Joel, is there anything that can be done to fast-track the impeachment?
Well, actually, right now, what we're doing is we're preparing for the impeachment trial. And we hope that the Senate will start it immediately dahil yun naman po yung nakasaad sa ating saligang batas. And we're still in the process of considering all legal options na po pwede naming igawin. But for now, inaantay pa rin namin yung Senate.
Doon pa rin po talaga mapupunta dahil...
It's very hard on our part because, of course, we do not want to antagonize the future senator judges.
Yeah.
Diba? So,
do you feel though you've antagonized them already?
Siguro, at some point, maybe during the interviews, but syempre, parang ano yan just like in the courtroom, no? Of course, you do not want to antagonize the judge if you're the prosecutors, di ba? So, medyo careful ka sa mga actions mo because at the end of the day, yung outcome or result ng case mo,
nakasalalay sa kanila.
Nakasalalay sa senator judges.
Congressman, what about you? Is there any other way to start the impeachment proceedings?
It is a difficult balancing act because in the end, it's really the call of the Senate, in particular, the leadership call of Senate President Cheese Escudero. Matalinong tao naman si Senator Cheese Escudero. Abogado rin siya. And his definition, though, of forthwith is, you know, it is not what in general is accepted. No? Ako, I'm not a lawyer. I am a journalist and a writer. And I've been consulting so many dictionaries, Kong Joel, no? Merriam-Webster, lahat ng mga thesaurus.
I did the same thing. Kung anong ibig sabihin ng forthwith, okay.
Ang sabi, it's immediately. Immediately. And tanong niya, bakit hindi sinulat immediately if that's what the fathers of the Constitution really meant? It's because it's a style question. When you write something as big as the Constitution, you do not employ common and vulgar terms, no? And immediately is too common. You use something more highfalutin, something more literary, like forthwith. But it's the same banana. It has the same meaning. It's immediately.
And again, this is something that's been discussed over and over again. What we're talking about again is Article 11, Section 3 of the Constitution, which says that upon submission of our articles of impeachment, the Senate shall proceed, forthwith proceed, di ba? With the trial, basically. Yung po yung nakasulat sa Article 11, Section 3 of the Constitution, to which there are so many interpretations. Again, I think possibly at the end of the day, we might or might not get an answer from the Supreme Court because this is already being questioned before the Supreme Court. In fact, it was the first petition before the Supreme Court on the impeachment of the Vice President. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng forthwith proceed?
Yun na nga.
Yun na nga po. Pero ibig ko sabihin, here's the thing. The Supreme Court can render a decision on this or pwede rin pong hindi?
it might take its time, you know. It might take longer than expected, considering na sa July 30 na, according to the schedule submitted by the Senate, mag-uumpisa yung trial. What if hindi pa matapos ang desisyon o the Supreme Court doesn't
Right.
finish the hearings at medyo late na? So what's the point, really? But we're trying, and a lot of parties are actually trying to convince the Senate President that forthwith actually means immediately.
And the Tagalog version is kailangan, yung forthwith ang ibig sabihin po sa saligang batas na nakasaad po ay agad.
Yes.
Agad-agad.
Yun po ang nakasulat, agad-agad. Agad ho ba o agad-agad?
Immediately.
Meron po talagang Tagalog
Tagalog,
version,
yung
Filipino
translation.
version.
But I think in a letter to the senator judges, di ba? I think the Senate President wrote explaining itong forthwith. I think he was citing the during the impeachment of former President Joseph Estrada na sinasabi ni Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago that yung forthwith should be exercised with circumspection. So, but you know, you cannot compare the impeachment of then former President Estrada to the impeachment complaint of Vice President Sara Duterte. Because during that time, wala pa kasing rules. So you have to read the whole context of the Constitution. It's in its entirety. Hindi lang yung provision na nagsasaad ng forthwith. Kasi doon din sa nasabing Section 11, Paragraph 8, nakalagay din kasi doon that the Congress shall promulgate its own rules.
Right.
But at that time, wala pa kasing rules.
Kasi that was the first.
Yes. So
Opo,
ang
tama
meaning
po.
ni Senator Miriam Defensor at that time is, of course, we have to immediately proceed. But we have to exercise circumspection. Kasi wala pang rules. Kumbaga, dapat gawin muna natin itong rules bago tayo mag-proceed. Otherwise, baka mamaya magkaroon ng problema.
But I guess at the end of the day, do you agree that there's really not much you can do because it really is the call of the Senate? It does state also in the Constitution that the Senate shall have the sole authority to try impeachment cases.
Yes, because this is actually a political exercise. We can only have judicial review on two instances. Number one, if there is grave abuse of discretion. And secondly, if the procedure provided under the constitutions are not followed. Like for example, yung mga 1/3 vote, yung 2/3 vote, may mga question about that. Other than that, political exercise na yan. So kaya medyo ang hirap. Ang hirap din. Kasi because impeachment is actually a sui generis, di ba? Namumukod tangi.
A class of its
A
own.
class of its
Oh,
own.
a class
so,
of its own.
medyo wala talagang masasabi natin clear and cut rule about this.
Hindi naman kami nagkukulang sa House of Representatives na magpaalala. It's just a friendly reminder. Baka naman magkaroon ng change of mind, you know. I do not see any real compelling reason for them not to convene and handle this case immediately as the Constitution states. Of course, there might be other factors that are not openly discussed. You know, I'm a politician myself, and you know, half of the senators are running for re-election. Maybe they're scared na maging electoral issue ito. And of course, pag nag-convene sila, baka may magagalit sa kanila, mabawasan ng boto nila. So this is just me.
So you're basically saying among the 12 that are running, 7 are re-electionists in the Senate. Ang sinasabi niyo po, Congresswoman, ay ayaw po, they choose to remain silent about it because it's the safer way so that they get votes.
Ayaw
For
nilang
or against?
pag-usapan na muna ang impeachment dahil baaring it could be used against them as an electoral issue.
Yeah, because if they say, ituloy na natin, baka yung mga Duterte,
The supporters
those who
of the Vice
support
President
the Vice President, ilaglag sila, ganun po yun. So, it's clear to you. It's a
This is just me speculating, but as a politician myself, you know. But ang tanong dyan ano bang susundan natin? Diba? Yung ating political career na hindi naman kinakailangan matalo ka dahil lang dun sa possibility na yon, o yung ating constitutional mandate. The question is it the right thing to do? I think more compelling reason yung constitutional mandate.
You said legal options, Kong Joel, earlier. You said we are considering legal options. What other legal options are there? Just in the sphere of possibilities.
Well, motions. Mga motions siguro na pwede naming ibang... but siguro hindi pa muna yung sa Supreme Court, no? Siguro mga motions for the Senate to do.
Such
para
as?
at least medyo masimulan na.
What specifically? Because I see, the prosecutors talking, yourself, Congresswoman Geraldine, who's not a part of the prosecution because there's 12 ho ba kayo?
Yeah, because there are
Ano pa kung pwede niyong gawin?
Well, actually, before the impeachment trial proper, no, may mga procedural na dapat pang gawin ng Senate. Baka po pwede na silang umusad doon. Like for example, yung pagtitake ng oath ng mga senador, like yung pagpa-file, yung pagsasubmit ng answer, ng
Mga affidavit, sir.
Yes,
no?
mga ganon. So, at least medyo may usad na nakikita tayo, di ba? So, kasi yung trial proper naman, it will take time dahil may mga talagang procedural pa na dapat na gawin.
But the Senate has come up with a timeline on this. We're gonna put that on air so you can see it. Dahil basically, yung trial proper ay talagang mag-uumpisa sa after the President's State of the Nation address. Let's start with this. June 2. Why June 2? Balikan po natin yan dahil yan po yung resumption ninyo bilang miyembro ng House and Senado. So, dyan po sila mag-uumpisa. Are you saying, Congresswoman, na dapat bago pa si resumption of session, presentation of articles of impeachment, approval of revised impeachment rules, sana bago pa mag-June 2? Is that what you're saying, sir?
Sana.
Kasi nga, kung bibilangin mo, meron tayong buwan ng Marso, buwan ng Abril, buwan ng Mayo, saka June 2. Those are 3 months. Sayang yung panahon. And for me, that does not really define what forthwith is. Immediately is immediately, or kahit man lang may semblance ng urgency, no, that the Constitution is trying to convey, no, with the processing of impeachment cases.
Okay, I'm just gonna, I'll go back to this calendar for the impeachment trial in a bit because, again, this needs to be discussed because the Senate President did say this before, nung parang gusto niyong mag-umpisa na yung proceedings, no, the impeachment trial. He kept saying, in 2 hours gusto niyong i-discuss na namin to. Bakit niyo pinasa sa amin 2 hours before session was supposed to end? I guess that was a February 5, if I'm not mistaken, when you guys had December, January, and 5 days in February. Please respond to that.
Well, in the first place, under the Constitution kasi, we are given, and even in our rules, diba, we are given 10 session days bago ito may transmit doon sa Committee on Justice. Now, kung yun ang bibilangin natin, pasok pa rin kami. We did not violate anything because makikita po natin when it was when the first impeachment complaint was filed, if I'm not mistaken, parang session 27.
Pareses na tayo.
I think it was December 2 or December 4,
yes.
sir.
So, session 27. So, when we submitted it on February 5 ba yan?
Kayo po, Feb 5.
Parang session 36. So, if you will count the session
27
number...
and 36.
Yes.
9 days.
Pasok kami dun sa 10 session days. Now, we cannot compare yung part ng Congress sa Senate. Kasi kami, magbi-build up kami ng case. Of course, you do not want to file a case na medyo tingin mo malabnaw or medyo hindi maayos. Unlike din sa Senate, ministerial ang trabaho nila Pakikinggan lang kung may basis o may merit yung mga ginagawa namin. Ang pinakamahirap kasi, yung magbi-build up ka ng case. Second, nung pong final...
Hindi ba mas mahirap yung trabaho ng mga senator judges?
Hindi. Mas mahirap
You don't
yun
think
sa
so?
amin. Parang ano po yan, sa fiscal tsaka judge Yung fiscal...
Sila yung judge.
Sila yung judge, kami yung fiscal. Siyempre, pag magpa-file ka ng case, siguraduhin mo lahat ng elemento nandoon.
The burden of proof
Yes.
is always on the
It's
Lies
always
with the
on-
prosecution.
Yes. So, hindi ka po pwedeng basta-basta magsasubmit. Otherwise, it will be useless. Diba? So now, when the first impeachment complaint was filed, it contains 27
Yeah.
articles. Now, if we're going to submit it to or to refer it to the Committee on Justice, tapos na po yung 19th Congress, baka hindi pa po kami tapos i-hear ito. So, if that will be the case, papasok po dyan yung 1-year bar or 1-year prohibition.
Okay, let's just do a quick rundown on that. So that's the first one, 27 po.
Yes.
Yung second impeachment case, isa lang ho ang ground, hindi ho ba?
Yes, second at saka third. So
Okay.
medyo malabnaw
Ito naman,
din.
masyadong konti.
Masyadong konti.
Okay.
So what we have 306 congressmen.
Yes.
So lahat yan, pagka titignan nila, parang maraming alinlangan eh. So you have to come up with something na amenable sa lahat.
Yeah, understandable to our guests, no?
And I can attest to that, when we heard of the first, the second, and the third, parang medyo naguguluhan kami. We're not in the prosecution team. So I guess the work that they had to do was to consolidate and to find out which grounds for impeachment were the strongest, so that we could be convinced in the House. And many of my colleagues were actually inquiring and asking the prosecution team, ano ba ang pinaka-strong dyan? And we wanted to see something more streamlined before deciding and affixing our signatures to
Okay,
to the
but I'll
case.
go back to the calendar. December, this is, sorry, it's not specific, but I would say from the first, second, and third impeachment cases that were filed, we're looking at December 4, December 5, December 19, around that time frame,
Yeah.
sir. No? You could have done the fourth impeachment, passed it on to the Sec-Gen after December 19, could have been on 20th, could be even in January. But you passed it February 5, the day you were about to go on recess. That's just what the SP is saying, Senate President Cheese. Again, kung kayo daw nagtagal, bakit kami? Sabi niya, 2 oras lang gusto nyo. Parang, we take this up already.
Kasi sa amin, as I said a while ago, kami yung nagbi-build up ng case eh. Sila naman, isiset mo lang yung hearing eh. So magkaiba yun. Dahil ikaw, siyempre, pag magsiset ka ng kaso, pag-aaralan mo yan.
So building up, basically you're saying, building the case is the one that took a
Yes,
long
definitely.
time.
And you have to get the approval of,
Yeah.
you have to talk to 306
Which is where I
congressmen.
wanted to go. I mean, are you going to be honest enough to say that you needed the numbers?
Yeah, definitely. Because then the magic number is one-third. So at least
Of
one
306,
of
102.
306, so 102.
Opo.
But we were able to, with the fourth impeachment complaint, tingin ko more than
Yeah,
two-thirds.
240. 215 initially,
Plus 25.
tapos may nagpahabol
Right.
pa.
But that is more than two-thirds.
Okay, but Congresswoman Geraldine, what about you? I mean, after all the hearings, good government,
Sa
you had
Quadcom.
about Quadcom and good government. You had
Yes.
about 9 or 10 good government, right,
Yes.
Congressman? Wasn't your mind made up at that time? Because you signed the fourth impeachment complaint.
Well, when the Quadcom was conducting its hearings, syempre, meron kang isolated pieces of information, of evidence, and more or less you have a picture that is slowly being formed within your mind. But of course, nothing beats having a summary, a consolidated version of all of the evidence and to which grounds for impeachment, the articles of impeachment, they correspond. It's easier to decide when you have everything down in writing and formally presented to the members. And this is what happened, basically.
All right, we're going to take a very short break. Representatives Joel Chua and Geraldine Roman will still be with us for our discussion in a moment. Stay tuned. This is On Point. Welcome back. You're watching On Point. Still with us, Representatives Joel Chua and Geraldine Roman. So I want to go back to the Senate timeline because it's also good to talk about what Congress, the House of Representatives, is doing right now. So June 2, they will convene after the elections, and then June 3, ito na po yung oath-taking ng incumbent senator judges. And then, ito na po, Kong Joel, ano pa ba to? Pre-trial pa rin ho ba ito? Issuance of summons, reception of pleadings, that's still part of the pre-trial, right?
Yes.
Well, as Saan ba dyan?
June 14 to 24, reception of pleadings. Tapos, let's move that up. Yeah, that's still pre-trial, no?
Well, ang pre-trial kasi, it could be done in just one day. Yung pre-trial kasi, ang ginagawa dyan is ano yung mga acceptable sa atin. Ito lang ba yung mga, let's say, ito yung mga witnesses. O agreeable ba kayo dito? Ayun ang pre-trial.
From both sides?
Yes.
Prosecution
Ano yan
and
eh?
defense.
Tapos kung ano yung mga i-offer ninyo na evidence, kung ito yung mga ano. Tapos minsan may summation of facts, may mga gano'n na okay na ba sa inyo to na hindi na to kailangan i-prove. Yun ang pre-trial.
Okay.
Sa actual So yung iba dyan, parang part ng process.
All right. So, what happens right now in the House of Representatives? What is being done while you are on recess?
Well, right now, we are discussing all possible
Legal options?
Hindi, no. Legal issues
Okay.
that we may face once the trial proper nandiyan na po. So, on top of that, syempre, nagkaroon na kami ng delegation of articles. So, sino yun dito, sino
Nasaan ho
nandyan?
kayo?
2 and 3.
Ano po ang 2 and 3? I remember 1 is grave threats, di ba?
Yes, ano yan, confidential fund.
Is 2
Sa
because of
two.
good government.
Yes.
Okay.
And number 3, doon sa bribery issue.
I see.
That's also part of my
Alleged bribery dun
investigation.
sa Education Department
Yes.
officials.
So-
All right. And Congresswoman Geraldine, so you were saying a while ago that, it could be obviously a strategy or obviously sa inyo po, it's a political issue.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
But then you were also saying that this is your responsibility
Yes.
as a member of
Of
Congress,
yes.
hindi lang House, but of the Senate too. What do you think?
Walang choice talaga, Pinky. It's your constitutional mandate. So ano ba? Ang mas mahalaga sa'yo, yung political interest or yung pagtalima sa saligang batas?
And what are you thinking right now with this kind of schedule from the Senate? Anong mas importante sa kanila?
They could do better, actually, and be more loyal to the Constitution. I'm not accusing them directly of violating the Constitution, but I think we're sending mixed messages to Filipino people in general. I think we should be more sensitive and listen to the clamor of so many groups who want us to uphold the Constitution. When you have elected officials in high positions like senators who at least are perceived not to be so respectful of the Constitution, I think that's not a good example to follow, diba? Here we are trying to uphold the rule of law. And for me, this is what the Quadcom has actually been doing these past months, no? To show to the people that no one is exempt, no one is above the law. So we don't expect anything less from the Senate.
How would you say you're disappointed in them? Would that be the right word?
Kind of dismayed, but still hopeful. Hopeful kasi nga, on our part, we keep on listening to the people. Maybe you've been watching the press cons that have been happening these days, these past months since we
Went on recess?
went on recess. Actually, marami nakikiusap talaga na for us to channel ang kanilang pananawagan.
Siguro po kailangan nyo sabihin yun kay Senate President Chis Escudero because when he was asked that, sabi niya, anong clamor? Actually, he made mention of the word clamor. Saan nanggagaling ang clamor na yan?
Bakit may nagdedemanda sa Supreme Court na hindi naman House of Representatives? There are other parties who want him to recognize and interpret the word forthwith as immediately.
Okay, there is also supposed to be a group that will start gathering signatures. I think it was today, if I'm not mistaken, 1 million signatures daw to push the Senate into convening itself as an impeachment court. Do you think that will help, Congressman?
Well, siguro kung meron, why not?
All right. What is the concern? What is your biggest concern if the trial begins in the 20th Congress, the formal trial?
Well, of course, we have pieces of evidence, no, na hawak natin. So, our biggest concern is yung mga witness natin. So, syempre, as the day goes by, siyempre, habang tumatagal yan, yung alinlangan ng mga witnesses namin, medyo nandoon yung anxiety, siyempre, tatakot lahat yung mga yan. So, siyempre, lahat yan, possible, nangyayari lahat yan. Tampering of evidence, yung tatakutin yung mga testigo. So, lahat yan, posible. So, hanggat tumatagal, yung anxiety nila, yung safety nila, siyempre, concern din nila yan at concern din namin. So, medyo yun ang ano namin, ang worry namin.
Follow up on that. Go ahead, Congressman.
Yeah, they have very good reason to be scared. Kasi nga, nakikita naman namin, ako nakita ko nga, yung members ng Quadcom are subjected to a lot of harassment through social media, a lot of bashing, a lot of fake news, and pwede rin mangyari yan sa mga witnesses. They have this very compelling way of making witnesses, back out or baka
Who is they?
trolls, troll armies, fake news, quite organized, in fact. But we are aware.
When you say, I wanted to do a follow-up on, you said possible tampering of evidence. What evidence could be tampered, you think?
Well, anything is possible eh. Diba? So,
How? Why?
Pinky,
Hindi naman po yung... let me just bring this up, sir. I hope you don't mind. The Vice President, Sara Duterte is not President, di ho ba? So, siya po yung, to some even, might appear to be the underdog here. That's why nagtatanong po ako, paano po yung tampering of evidence dito?
Pinky, may kinonsider na kami, but I will not divulge. Dahil baka mamaya, maisip pa nila eh.
Okay.
Diba? So,
Pero meron po talaga.
May possibility. So, isa nga yun sa binabantayan namin. No? So, pero, sorry ah.
It's okay, sir. No, maybe you can tell me,
Behind cam.
Off-air na po tayo. Here's another thing. Would you say you're both worried because of this recent survey that came out on WR Numero that basically stated that 47% of the respondents are not in favor of the impeachment? And follow-up na rin po. Alam naman po ng tao na habang tumatagal ay nawawalan ng gana, supposed to be. Siguro yung publiko o yung sentimiento, the fire doesn't burn that much, habang tumatagal ang oras. Is
Alam mo,
that a factor?
Pinky, to tell you the truth, at first I was against the impeachment case. And this I said before, in line with what the President said. But as the evidence were presented to us, syempre, we use our thinking minds, and we have decided to sign. And nandiyan yung ating constitutional mandate. This is not a popularity game, basically. This is a question of following our constitutional mandate. Wala talaga kaming choice but to process the impeachment and, of course, the Senate to hear it and conduct the trial immediately.
You are going to retire, no? You are a third-termer.
I'm a third-termer, yeah, but retirement is really not
Retire
a
from Congress
Yes.
for
Yes.
2025 is what I mean. Would you say that you are proud of having signed that fourth impeachment complaint?
I would say that I'm proud of following our constitutional mandate. Sometimes, in the world of public service, we have to make unpopular decisions or, presuming that that survey is correct and accurate. And sometimes, you just have to have enough guts to follow what the Constitution says.
Congressman, what about you?
Yeah, I think that survey is questionable because I watched one interview where the owner of WR Numero ba yan? Clive Arguelles. Clive Arguelles
Opo.
was interviewed. Actually, yung survey niyan, dalawang tanong. Yung isang tanong, if you're in favor of the impeachment, for which 47% does not, di ba? Pero may follow-up question
47
yan.
versus 33.
Yes,
Di ba? Okay.
47 and 43. Dun sa 43, ang susunod na tanong, are you in favor, kung dapat ba impeach siya ng Senate, parang something.
Meron pong gano'n.
Yes, meron
Saka
pong.
meron pag dapat bang makialam ang Pangulo.
Yes, okay. Ang tanong nung nag-i-interview, bakit, kasi dun sa 43%, hindi sigurado. Doon pala sa 43%, pinakita lahat, nung ini-interview, pinakita yung Article 1 to 7. So medyo nagkaroon na ng doubt yung ini-interview. So whereas, dun sa 47%, hindi ipinakita yung
Articles of
yung
impeachment.
laman
Is that so?
Yes.
Says who, sir?
I think kung hindi ako nagkakamali yung interview na yon, sa interview ni Clive kay Christian Esguerra.
I
So
watched
I
that,
think
sir.
you watched that.
Yeah.
So doon medyo nagkaroon ng parang
Medyo misleading.
Really, sir?
Yes,
Okay.
yung parang lumalabas doon sa unang tanong, lumalabas yung
Pabor ba
tao
kayo
hindi
para sa-
hindi aware sa content ng impeachment complaint. Unlike dun sa pangalawang tanong, kaya hindi na sila sigurado kasi nung sinabi na kung ano yung laman, biglang nag-iba na yung same group of people ang in-interview. So, medyo medyo...
For you, that's questionable.
Yes. So,
Okay.
lumalabas, hindi lahat aware.
Right. All right. Siguro as a last note, no, overtime na pala tayo. Maybe just an appeal, maybe? Congresswoman, go ahead.
I'd like to remind our friends in the Senate na mahalaga ang pag-uphold ng ating Constitution. And 3 months for me is simply hard to explain.
All right. Kong Joel.
Ma'am, sa akin lang, we do not want to fight Senate, of course. Diba? What we're just trying to stress here is that this is their constitutional mandate as provided for by the people. Because the author of the constitutions are the Filipino people. Makikita po natin yan sa ating preamble. So, yun lang naman ang sa akin. It is not us, it is but the Filipino people who wanted the impeachment to proceed forthwith.
Maraming salamat, Congressman Joel Chua and Congresswoman Geraldine Roman. Thank you both for being here, and I hope to see you again. Thank you. And that's On Point. Join us again tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. here on BNC, the Billionario News Channel. I'm Pinky Webb. Thank you for watching.